listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. This is your instant reaction to Texas Tech falling 38-21 Kansas State. I'm your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Hey, just kind of dumbfounded by how all this went. As everyone predicted, I'm sure. Jake Strong finished the game. Tech lost. But I'm just blown away. I'm just blown away by this. And I'm sure we'll get into it, but I'm just going to jump right into it. How do you get your QB3 out there? And not even midway through the fourth quarter, he's already thrown more pass attempts than your starting quarterback of the night. 3 of them have been interceptions. He threw 2 interceptions on the same drive, basically. I'm not faulting him. This does not seem like a good game plan. There's a running back averaging 5.8 yards per carry on the night against a really, really good run defense. And the plan is to have QB3 in his first ever action.
Yep.
Throw the ball 28 times in a half.
So starter 179 in the YouTube comment says Taj got 5 touches to Strong's 28. He ended up with 28 passes in the second half. Brooks got the ball 5 times. Now,
he got the ball more than that in the second half. It was 7.
Well, okay. So 4-1. You want to talk about that again? No. Like I full disclosure, watched exactly 0 seconds of this football game. I kept up with it. I was watching the game charts, whatever, Gamecast. I was confused, I guess, as much as all of you guys. What happened to Morton? There was obviously nothing on the app that said anything. Listen to the last few seconds of the game on the way home tonight. Brian Jensen said, like, well, Morton looked good. First half, 14-21. Had a touchdown. Went into half with the team, just never came back out. So I was like, I guess nobody knows.
Well, he did sustain some pretty big hits. I'm sure that was part of it. Which that's why my screen name is Most Dangerous Job in America is playing quarterback for Zach Kittley, because QB3 comes in. What are we doing? Running the freaking option. Like, that's a good idea. And sure, Strong did get 54 yards on it one time, but that was probably just a fluke and blind luck. And then he got tackled really hard at the end of it. That made me take a breath. But it's blowing my mind to have that kind of offense, or just assume that this offense is just going to be wide open with Strong back there, thrust into it. Maybe a week of practice, fine. He had that week of practice coming into the Houston game where Morton was banged up.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Right. I know that week of practice was not this last week.
I bring that out not to say like he should be more prepared, but like
no,
the prep for taking over as QB1 was for a game plan that's 2 weeks old now. So yeah, I hate the the stat line that you see for Jake Strong. I can't fault him for it. Like,
no,
he played the position that he was. I mean, his position, but he ran the game plan that he was given from his offensive coordinator. And according to the guys in the comments, like, complete disservice. I was like I said, I was following the game along. And I made a mental note, like, you took the lead in the third quarter, 21 to 17. And then there was your first drive on defense after you went up, you had a stop on 4th down, but it looked like you had a face mask on Linton. I was like, well, okay, here, let's make a note of this drive, this play, and see how it goes out. Next play, you get a holding on Kansas State, so it's 1st and 20. 2 plays later, they pick it up. A couple plays after that, they score. I was like, well, that's kind of a big deal. Okay, mental note. First play of the next drive, you have ball, interception, 1 play later, touchdown. It's like, yeah, snowball there. And Brian Jensen was pointing it out on how much you guys were listening to the radio call. I know we don't have a lot of radio fans on our in the Discord because of the negativity, but he pointed out, like, actually, if you want to throw like the quarterback health kind of thing out the window and just look at like the game flow of how these games against Kansas State have gone, it's gone like this. It's been a close game late, and then everything freaking falls apart, and Kansas State scores 35 points in the last 5 seconds of the game, it feels like. Like, it snowballs so fast on you, and it's happened at least now two years in a row. It feels like it's happened at least one more time before that, very recently too. So it's like, you're not like gassed, you're not running out of your, like, it just, whatever, like, it just, there's a point in the game against Kansas State, everything falls apart. And I don't know if it's like you just expect it to happen because you haven't beaten Kansas State in like a decade now, or this is just what happened. I don't know. It's a frustrating thing to watch. It's history now. It happens every single time you play this team. You haven't beaten them since, was it 2016?
Yeah, and that's just 1 out of 12, I think. I think we're now...
Yeah, you haven't beaten them. Yeah, it was
we've
2016.
Lost 11 of the last 12 now, I think.
And then 2009, I think was the last. Like, you're talking about 14 years of football, you've won 2. I don't know how many times you actually played in there, because there were times you weren't lined up against every team in the conference. It doesn't matter. You suck against Kansas State. Even when Kansas State has a shit team, you can't figure it out. Tonight, you have to deal with another third string quarterback. So it's 2 years in a row that Kittley has had to roll 3 quarterbacks out, not because he wants to, but because he has to, because he can't keep them upright. Some of that has to be on him, on his play calling. Some of it has to be the position that he puts these players into. Because I remember following it when Strong threw that first interception. I think he was 1 of 6 at that point.
Yes.
He kept forcing it into Strong's hands. Like, hey, you know what? True freshman quarterback playing first time ever. Have him hand the ball off.
One of them, too, which was extremely frustrating. Taj Brooks is not even in the game. They were trying to get Valdez going, I guess, on Strong's first drive. And maybe maybe that was a familiarity thing. Maybe in practice, he hands off to Valdez more often. That would kind of make sense. Maybe that was the thought process there. But 4th and 3, he's throwing a deep fade down the sideline on 4th and 3 while Taj Brooks is not in the game, not even considering a handoff. That was his first drive. His first drive. It's just, yeah, let's truck it, man. Let's go. Let's get in there. Let's go. Let's see what they do. It was 3rd. They got it. Oh, yeah, 6 plays, 21 yards, less than 2 minutes. The great thing was the 99-yard drive. That's really special.
No, it was. It was awesome. It was like, holy crap! Like, you put this guy out there. You force a punt. When he
had that big gain, that was when he had that 50-something yard gain, and someone pointed out in the YouTube chat, like, he got that 54 yards on that option carry because KSU knew only an idiot would call that with their QB3.
Yep, because we heard, and it was I kind of like wrote it off when it was following the West Virginia game, when obviously when Shuck went down, and then when Morton was kind of banged up, they asked McGuire about quarterback options following Strong, and it's like, well, we got some wide receivers that probably should have played quarterback in high school that we'll roll with. Like, if that is your contingency for your next quarterback going down, is we've got guys that could have played quarterback in high school, maybe, just maybe, you figure out a way to take the game out of the quarterback's hands. Like, hey, you know what? You may be really good at running the ball, but literally there's nobody behind you. So we can't have you go down. We can't risk it. Kittley for sure has to know what his quarterback room looks like, right? Like there's nobody left.
What room?
We've got
just like a quarterback
walk-ons.
Hallway. They just meet in the hallway outside the cafeteria and then go to practice.
We got walk-ons and receivers that can run the Wildcat, which I wouldn't be opposed to, because that means we're going to run the ball 100% of the game. You know what? I certainly hope you'd run the ball 100% of the game, because if you put Coy Aiken back there or Xavier White and ask him to throw the ball, like we got to figure out the locksmith's number to the football training facility, change the locks or something. Like you can't let the man continue to work here if that's an idea he has. I don't know if he should be working in the morning. I don't know. But I didn't watch the game. I can only look at the stat sheets. I can only tell you how frustrating it is to see a true freshman quarterback be put in that position and be asked to do what he did, and then have it go about as well as you would expect a true freshman to perform against a defense as good as Kansas State in the position they were in, coming off a emotional loss last week, and they were motivated. I mean, I don't even know what you want to say about like what your defense did. I mean, they gave up a 440 yards of offense.
Well,
280 on the ground.
Yeah. Tech didn't quite get barraged, but they got Avery Johnson. That's for damn sure. 5 on the ground. He probably could have had a 6th there at the end of the game, but he slid to keep the clock rolling and just be able to run the timeout. And, you know, what a luxury, Kansas State, to go into this game with your starting quarterback and have the option, you know what? Let's just give Johnson a shot. Let's see what he's doing. Let's put him in the red zone and see what he can do. Oh man, yeah, he ran in a couple. That's great. Let's put him in some 3rd or 4th down situations. Oh, well, heck, let's just put him in the whole second half. You have two functioning quarterbacks. Good Lord, the riches on you Wildcat fans. I can't imagine what that would feel like.
Yeah, just
any moment. 2 guys either one of them could come in.
We knew they were good at running the ball, and that's what they wanted to do. But man, 5.9 yards per carry, 46 attempts, 273 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. All 5 of those came from Johnson, like you just said. You didn't stop anybody on the ground. It even looked like neither team really wanted to play rush defense. I mean, you look across the Texas Tech. Taj Brooks had 17 carries for 98 yards. He probably should have gotten twice as many carries as he did, especially when you consider the quarterback room situation. But 17 carries, 98 yards, that breaks a streak of 100-yard gains, which is kind of pointless, but also like of the game to lose his streak of 100-yard games, this should not have been it. 1 touchdown. Cameron Valdez, 6 carries, 22 yards. So your running backs, 23 carries, 120 yards. Now, maybe it's because you in your game film, you looked across at the Kansas State defense, like, well, they're starting a bunch of nobodies at corner, and we want to try to, exploit that. Okay, but probably not with QB3. Probably not first game action, because as much as they were rolling out new guys at corner, they weren't true freshmen, and that wasn't their first snaps of the season. Like you can say, oh, but there's an opportunity there. Yeah, maybe with Morton. I don't know. I don't understand the game plan, obviously, because I wasn't in any of those meetings. I don't understand what they saw. But on the outside, following the game on an app, I said, thinking to myself, what the crap are we doing? What are we doing? I'm glad to hear that it's not just me, because you were watching the game. You're like, this is fantastic. I'm so glad we're doing this.
Yeah, well, I'm usually pretty even keel now because I've been a fan for a long time and we've been doing this podcast.
We should expect this by now.
So
honestly,
yeah, I mean, really, and I think I'm gonna have to go back and correct myself. Texas Tech has lost the last 12 of the last 13 against Kansas State now.
Love that.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 12 of the last 13. So anyway, so having known all that, when Strong threw his second interception right at the end of the third quarter, I believe, I keep my little tablet in my lap and take notes and have stat broadcast pulled up and all sorts of stuff. I just closed it and set it on the floor because I thought this guy's already thrown 20 passes or whatever this quarter. This is the game plan now. And we can't say this enough. We're not putting this on Strong.
No,
this is just that was not a good game plan. Tech was playing like they were behind, and they weren't.
Yeah. So, if Morton's done, or at least if he's going to be out for some time, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to expect, man. Because I wouldn't even know what to expect from Gitley to answer questions on Monday. Really, like, what kind of sunshine BS is he going to spend for the interviews on Monday? I don't know, because you would think with like I said, the quarterback situation as it is, you'd lean on the guys that have got you here the past couple of weeks, and he didn't. So I don't have high expectations, and I don't have I'm not. Yeah, I guess high expectations is the best way to put it. I don't have high expectations for Jake Strong, and that's not an indictment on him as a player or as his talent or as his ceiling or anything like that. It's just the state of being a true freshman and not having been able to prepare to be the starter, and then having the big brain offensive coordinator that we have that doesn't seem to notice which quarterback may be out there or how many guys he has left.
No, and this is a pattern. I mean, this is something I've harped on a lot, but Morton's first start last year on the road in Stillwater, he threw 62 times. Okay.
I mean, I don't even know what to say about it, man. Cross Timbers Red Raider asks, I don't see any way that Gitley stays after this. What are the options to fill off in the corner for remainder of the year? Who do we target? I don't know. Can Juice Johnson call plays? Like who's left? Is it Bookbinder that does the tight ends? Kenny Perry? Just have Perry do it. Just throw something else on his plate. I'm kidding here because I've got nothing. I don't know. So I'm really looking forward to this rewatch, Michael, or I guess watch because I didn't actually watch it. Just to see how poorly this went. Our friend Maddie on Twitter said he made a joke like those blackout profile picture can change real quick. I was like, thanks for the reminder. I updated mine. Maybe we can drop the whole blackout nonsense too. Like, hey, it's a night game, cool. We should wear black, red, black at home at night until we can figure something out. Because I think I read your post. I think it was 6 years old now from Staking the Plains about our horrendous record in blackout games. And I think there was even an updated post. I don't know who did it about specialty games. Texas Tech is like 0 for 100 in any of these. So how about we just focus on winning the games? Not make too much of a big deal about what the team's wearing, which is going to sound really stupid. I know that, but let's just play the game and not hype up what the team's wearing. I'll be like, oh, it's a blackout game or it's a throwback. Couldn't care less if we get beat 52-0, 38-21 with a true freshman quarterback out there, but attempting 28 passes and running it 7 times. Let's figure out our house before we worry about the window dressings, guys.
I have an interesting tidbit that will not make you feel better.
Oh, I love these.
While we were, the ticker on the bottom of FS1 was showing that Nick Saban won his 200th game at Alabama today. He's been there since 2007. How far back do you think we have to go as Texas Tech fans to total 200 wins?
All right. Leach had what, like 98? You haven't won 98 since him. So you got to go back into like the 90s.
Correct.
Let's say 95.
Nailed it. That's exactly it. 95. So 30. Spike Dykes won 9 games that year, and I think if you include that entire season, that was 203 games.
So nearly 30.
Right, it's probably off by a game or two at the most. Yeah, 30 years versus
12.
Yeah, with one coach. We went through 6 during that time, if you don't count the interims.
You want to count up how many quarterbacks we played over that time,
No.
Michael?
No.
You played 3 this year. You played 3 last year. Jensen did share the last quarterback to play an entire season for you is Patrick Mahomes, and even then he played hurt. Before that was Seth Doege,
which is crazy because Seth Doege had such a, his high school career was cut short by injury, I think, and somehow he was able to stay healthy during college. And yeah, great quarterback. Really liked him. Especially looking back, one of those guys you always look back on and think, man, that guy was pretty special. He was really pretty good.
Yeah. And just going off memory, before Doege would have had to been Harrell, because then it was after Harrell was Potts. I know he missed games, and Sheffield.
Yeah.
And then it was
I thought it was Doege
Brewer.
After that. Oh, I don't know if Brewer ever actually. Yeah, that's a good point. He's in there somewhere.
Well, okay. Brewer was more early Kingsbury. Potts was with Tuberville. So.
And Leach.
Yeah. He spanned. Yeah. Anyways, that's a fun trip down memory lane. Yeah. I don't know what else you want to talk about. We'll get into the more in-depth recap if there even is a thing to look at this game. It may just be trash. You got your ass kicked playing true freshman quarterback. Not even his faults. Your offensive line is a numbskull. Freaking idiot. 38-21. You up to 3-4 in the season. 2-2 in Big 12 play. 2-2? It doesn't matter right now. Yeah, 2-2. That'll do it for us in 23 Personnel Podcast. For Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.